This move usually provides more safety for His Majesty and puts me in a better position to bust some heads. Castling can occur if the king and the castling rook have not previously been moved during the game, and if the king is not in check. Obviously, the squares between the king and the rook must be unoccupied. In this situation, castling could not occur because the king would have to move through check to reach his destination, but His Majesty can still castle in the other direction. Castling occurs in about 95% of all chess games, and in 90% of these games, the players castle with King's Rook, because there are fewer pieces to move out of the way. And that's all there is to it. It should now be obvious to you that a rook laughs at danger. I scared the pants off of most other chess pieces. Entire armies break like crashing waves against me, leaving me unharmed. I fear nothing. Well, almost nothing.
Did you see that? I almost broke a fingernail. The king kept me awake with his snoring all last night, so I'm kind of in a bad mood. Anyway, I'm the queen. I'm the real power behind the throne, and in front of the throne in this game. I don't just stare at myself in the mirror all day like those wimpy queens you read about in fairy tales. I'm a warrior queen. I go out and do all the real work while the king sits around the castle passing laws and taxing peasants. I can fight any other piece in this game and beat the stuffing out of them, despite what that egomaniac rook may have told you. In the early versions of chess, there was no queen on the chessboard. Obviously, this was a major mistake. Once I was introduced to the game, I gradually took on more power until about 1490, when I developed the ability to move in all directions as the most powerful piece on the board. I can move in a straight line in any direction over as many unoccupied squares as I desire. If anyone dares to get in my way, I blast them out of their shoes and take their place on the board. So, I essentially have the combined movement power of a rook and a bishop. I am the most effective when I have plenty of room to work in, since I can control so much territory at once. Now, you might think it would be a good idea to get me out on the board early in the game and use me for almost everything. But it's not a good idea to rely too heavily on any one piece, since combinations of pieces are required for a good game. Besides, I'm also a big target when I'm out walking around alone without any protection, and you don't want to lose me if you can avoid it. Now let's talk about the pawn promotion, which is sometimes known as queening. If you manage to get one or more of your pawns all the way across the board to the 8th rank, that pawn is transformed into a more powerful piece, which is usually a queen. If you get 8 pawns across the board, you could get 8 new queens plus your original queen, although that would be pretty unusual. The original idea was that the infantry private who survived all the hazards of the battlefield had earned a promotion to an officer's rank. Of course, becoming a queen also means a sex change for the unsuspecting pawn, which may come as something of a surprise. And if I'm still on the board, the king would then have 2 or more queens, which is fine for the king. But it really ticks me off. Oh, now my headache is killing me, so I'm leaving.
I need no introduction. I'm the holiest piece on the board. I can harness ancient powers to dispose of enemies in my path. I can move forwards or backwards diagonally any number of unoccupied spaces. I cannot move forwards or backwards parallel to the sides of the board like that lumbering rook. Speaking of the beast, I think I'll take that space. Now that you've seen my power, I must caution you to use me wisely. Depending on whether I am on a light or dark square, I will only be able to move and attack others along the same colored square from which I start. A wise tactic would be to protect me by placing pieces around me on the squares of a color which I cannot move. I must leave you now, as I have matters to tend to in the church.